Okay, for my brain model, I used styrofoam material and then I draw the brain outline on a paper, then started to cut out pieces. 2 pieces to combine together to make my brain. Well, I used a pair of scissors and some blades to cut and shape out the styrofoam, but I would advise for you to use surgical blades if possible, because it's much easier and much cleaner if you do it with the surgical blade instead of the scissors and this kind of blade that I was using. Then after cutting and shaping my brain, I took the 2 pieces, I joined them together using a glue and some toothpicks. Then I started to shape the styrofoam model so that it can be curvy and removed all the corners to make it look more like a brain. Then after drawing and outlining with my pen, I will use a set of surgical blades, and you'll see how clean it is when I'm using the surgical blade instead of the scissor and the other kind of blade. It took me a while to shape, but I managed to make the styrofoam curvy and look more like a brain. Then I started to remove all the other corners by outlining with my pen on both sides, and then I shaped and shaped with my surgical blade again. As you can see, it's now much curvier and it looks more like a brain model instead of just a styrofoam with corners. Then underneath, I also outlined to remove all the corners that were underneath and to make it much more curvy. It really took me a while to do this thing, honestly speaking. I think it took me like a week to shape and reshape the styrofoam thing because it was not easy to work with it, and it's not actually a clean and tidy material to use, but I managed to shape it, and yeah. Then I started to remove the corners in between the 2 parts of the styrofoam on both sides. Yes. Then I used my pen to draw or outline the grooves that the brain normally has. So this type of method actually helps with making the styrofoam look much more realistic and actually look more like a brain. And then after outlining with my pen, I'll then take my surgical blade again, cut off exactly on the lines. I remove those pieces of styrofoam to actually create those brain grooves. And then after, as you can see, I managed to remove all the styrofoam to make the grooves with my surgical blade. Then now I'm taking a piece of toilet paper with my glue. I mixed my glue with water and then I'm applying it to the tissue to make sure that it is attached to my styrofoam. This will make it much easier for me to be able to paint the styrofoam, because the paint will then stick to the toilet paper instead of sticking to the styrofoam. I mixed my glue a little bit with some pink paint, but unfortunately it was not pink enough, so I have to still use the water paint to paint my brain model to make it much more pink. Then after I used the upper left paint color, which is red, I mixed it with a little bit of white and then I started to apply it on my brain all around until it was pink. The reason why I mixed the red with the white is because I didn't want my brain to look dark red. I just wanted it to look a little bit pinkish because I didn't have the pink paint. Then I'm done with painting and drying my brain. It is pink, as you can see. Then with my brown paint and a small paintbrush, I will start painting the grooves that I made earlier on to make them more realistic and bring them more to life. When doing this process, you need to make sure that your hands are very steady and you are very clean. Try not to paint outside the grooves. Make sure you paint inside so that the brain looks tidy. Well, there you go. The next step is to draw the main veins of the cerebellum. I used my dark red lipstick. It's actually maroon because I didn't have the dark red. I actually used the maroon one to draw the veins with a small paintbrush. This process also requires you to be very steady and patient and make sure that the veins are actually clean. Well, there you go. That's my brain made out of styrofoam, toilet paper, water paint, and lipstick and wood glue. Above are the 3 aspects I have learned, 2 questions I have related to my brain, and 1 aspect I found interesting.